people have always thought that people are the smartest animals on Earth, but they're actually the third smartest. The dolphin is the second smartest animal on Earth. It has always been known that the world would end soon. They tried to tell people about it, but people thought they were playing tricks on them. In the end, all of the dolphins left Earth on their own, leaving behind a simple message: goodbye and thanks for all the fish. In the English countryside, Arthur wakes up to find a construction crew outside his house with plans to knock it down. This changes his boring routine. Arthur runs to lie down between the house and the crew, and he and the head engineer argue because no one told him about this. Arthur's best friend, Ford, walks up with a cart full of beer to keep the other people busy while he drags Arthur away to the pub. Ford starts acting strangely and says he's an alien from another planet when he has more drinks than normal. To show that, he tells Arthur that they met when Ford tried to talk to a car, and Arthur pushed him out of the way at the last second. Ford still feels like he owes Arthur his life for saving it, so now he wants to save Arthur from the end of the world. Arthur, on the other hand, is sidetracked by a picture of a woman named Trisha on his phone, which makes him sad. He met her at a party, and they got along well, but when Trisha asked Arthur to go to Madagascar with her to find excitement, Arthur said no because he liked his quiet life in Britain. At that moment, a flashy man named Zaphod came in and took Trisha away, but Arthur never stopped thinking about her. Arthur hears the sound of construction and runs back to his house, where he is sad to find that it has already been torn down. Suddenly, a huge spaceship appears in the sky and casts a huge shadow over the area. The crew runs away. Ford isn't shocked. He gives Arthur a towel and tells him to hold on tight while he lifts his thumb, which has a glowing hitchhiking ring that leads them right into the ship. The Vogons are an alien species with a bad temper and a lot of rules. At that moment, the Vogon captain sends a message to everyone on Earth saying that there are plans to build a hyperspace highway in the galaxy, so they'll have to destroy Earth to get it out of the way. The planet is suddenly surrounded by Vogon ships, and everyone on Earth freaks out right before it blows up, leaving only dust behind. Arthur also finds out that Ford is a journalist who is working on the Earth piece for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the universal guidebook with tips for any planet you might want to visit. Arthur doesn't care that there are aliens. He just wants to go home, so Ford has to tell him that the Vogons destroyed Earth. While Ford looks for a hole in the wall to send a new signal with his ring, Arthur reads about Vogons in the guide and learns that they are the most nasty species in the universe and that their poetry is a form of torture. The Vogons see both men on the security cameras and quickly send a warning through the speaker, but Arthur can't understand what they're saying. Ford puts a small fish in his ear and tells him it's the Babel fish, a little alien that will translate everything you hear into words you can understand. A group of Vogons shows up and ties up Arthur and Ford so that the captain can read them some poetry. Ford is in pain, but Arthur doesn't understand what's going on, even though he can't even understand the song. When the captain asks them what they thought, Arthur lies and says it was great while giving a full breakdown of how it made them feel. But the captain takes it as an insult and tells the two that they have to leave. Arthur and Ford beg the Vogons not to throw them out of the ship, but they don't listen and push them out anyway. They float in fear for a few seconds until the shapes around them start changing and a spaceship appears. Now, Arthur and Ford are shaped like chairs inside this round ship, but as soon as they scream, they change back to their normal shapes. In another part of the ship, Zaphod, who turns out to be the president of the galaxy, is watching the news about how he stole the ship, which is called the Heart of Gold. Trisha stops him at that moment to say that the system has picked up hitchhikers, which the ship picked up by accident when they used the improbability drive. Zaphod thinks they might be with the space police, so he gets his gun. Trisha, however, decides to be safe and sends a robot instead. This robot turns out to be Marvin, who is always sad and can only say bad things about things. Marvin picks up Arthur and Ford and leads them through the ship's hallways. As they walk through the doors, they notice that they all talk. The Vogons, meanwhile, sent thousands of ships into hyperspace to find the Heart of Gold. When Malvin brings the two of them to the president, Zaphod's first thought is to try to shoot them. However, he quickly recognizes Ford as a distant relative, and the two of them hug. Arthur is shocked because Zaphod is the only person he remembers from the party, but Zaphod has no idea who he is. Then Trisha shows up, which makes Arthur happy, but when he tries to tell her about Earth, Zaphod pulls him away and threatens him so that he won't tell. Arthur gets scared when he sees that Zaphod has a second head hiding in his neck. It turns out that you can't be president with a whole brain, so Zaphod cut it out. He also has an extra arm that he keeps hidden and uses to hit Arthur and make him look bad in front of Trisha. Out of nowhere, hundreds of Vogon ships appear, and the Vogon captain and the vice president of the galaxy. Trisha tells Arthur that she has changed her name and shows him all the cool things on the ship, like a machine that can read your thoughts and make whatever you want. She has always wanted to leave their small town and go on an adventure, so she doesn't regret choosing Zaphod over Arthur. When she opens her bag to look for medicine for Arthur's wound, two mice jump out and run out of the kitchen. Then Zaphod shows the group a video that explains why he stole the Heart of Gold. A machine called Deep Thought was built a long time ago to find the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? Deep Thought figured out the answer, which was 42, after 7 million years. No one knew what it meant, and Deep Thought said it only knew the answer, so they had to build a better computer to find the final question. Zaphod wants to be famous, so he needs to find the answer to the ultimate question. To do this, he needs to go to planet Magrathea, which he can only get to by trying and failing with the Heart of Gold's improbability drive. The improbability drive teleports the ship to a random place in the universe. Sometimes, this makes the people change shape in strange ways that only last a few seconds. When Zaphod turns it on this time, the team turns into knitted figures. This takes Arthur's attention away, so the mice can pull some hair from his head. When they get back to normal, they find out they are on Viltvodel V, which is the home of Zaphod's political foe. Zaphod wants to pay him a visit, so they land the ship and meet the Jatravarded people. They think that the universe came from the nose of a being called the Great Green Arkelseizure. The group walks into a ceremony where people are praying for the arrival of the Great White Handkerchief, and Zaphod goes to see his foe Humma to ask him for directions to Magrathea. Humma is still mad that Zaphod won the election, but he agrees to give Zaphod the coordinates if he brings a famous gun back from Magrathea. Zaphod agrees, and Humma takes one of his heads to make sure he comes back. The group leaves with the locations, but when they come back out, the Vogons are all around the building. The Vogons start shooting right away, and the group runs away to hide behind a column. Trisha thinks of a way to get away. She puts a spray can on Zaphod's head and acts like she's going to kill him so that the Vogons will let her pass. Sadly, the Vogons were the group arrived and Zaphod can't think straight with only one head. Ford puts a cap on his head and squeezes lemons on it every few hours to wake up Zaphod's mind. The men then start walking to the Vogon jail, but every time they take a step, they get hit by swatters on the ground. They can't stop them no matter what they do, so the three of them run through the swatters to get to the building. In the meantime, the Vogons are questioning Trisha, and she finally finds out that Earth was killed. When she wonders how that could have happened, she finds out that Zaphod signed the paperwork without even reading it because he thought he was signing an autograph. Trisha is going to be fed to the ravenous bug bladder beast of Troll as punishment for taking the president hostage. At the front desk, the Vogons make the three people go through a lot of stupid papers and keep asking for more. When they're done, the Vogon realize they're trying to help Trisha get out of trouble. He tells them she can't get help because taking the president is too dangerous. Arthur and Ford tell Zaphod that everything was a mistake, and now they have to fill out the papers all over again using presidential forms. After signing a lot of papers and checking a lot of boxes, their request is finally granted, and they save Trisha just before the beast eats her. Trisha isn't happy to see them, though. She hits Zaphod for killing Earth and gets mad at Arthur for lying to her. The group takes the pod back to the Heart of Gold. While Trisha is taking a shower, Arthur comes up to her to apologize and tell her that if he had said yes to Madagascar, Earth would have exploded along with them. Then Zaphod uses the coordinates to make the improbability drive take them to Magrathea, which puts them through a bunch of strange shapes again. As they get closer to the planet, a pre-recorded message tells them that the planet is briefly closed. Zaphod ignores it and tries to land the ship anyway, which causes another. The group runs away quickly and hides behind an RV, where they accidentally drop the gun. When Marvin tries to join them, he is shot in the back of the head and falls, looking like he is dead. The Vogons fire again, and the RV falls to the ground while the group hides inside. When it seems like there is no hope left, Marvin quickly wakes up again and uses the gun on the Vogons. This makes them all sad and lethargic, so they drop to the floor and can't do their jobs. Then Slartibartfast shows up to say that the new Earth is finally ready, and he asks Arthur if he thinks anything is still missing. Arthur says that he will be the only thing missing. He then asks Trisha to go on his next trip with him, and the two of them leave in the Heart of Gold to go to the restaurant at the end of the universe. As Arthur and Trisha kiss, the new Earth is put back in place, and the cycle of life starts again. Arthur's last words before the ship leaves are that he won't go anywhere without his towel. By chance, these words go through a wormhole and end up on an alien planet, where they are taken as an insult. The aliens are angry, so they try to invade Earth. However, they are so small that a dog can swallow their tiny spaceships, showing once again that everything depends on your point of view.